All right. Says we're live. Let's make sure we're actually live before we start diving in here.
Sounds good to me. Oh, I need to do that too while I'm thinking about it. Okay. Had to make sure. I was like,
Okay.
I never know how, like when you're on StreamYard, like when you go to see comments, do you just have like the YouTube? Well, no, it's probably different because you're the host. You can see the comments.
Mm-hmm. I can.
Okay, because
Okay, so we are officially live on
yay!
YouTube. So yay! Hi
Yay!
everybody. We know people are going to come in and out through the whole discussion, so we're just going to dive right in because there is so much to cover, and we're hoping to cover it in an hour.
Yes.
So wherever you're jumping in on this, we love you. Go back and rewatch if you missed something. But yes. So real quick, let's introduce my little co-host for today. Laura, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Laura is linked down below, so make sure you go and give her a follow while you're here.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me, Shaylee. So this is so so cool and surreal. Like, I mean, you got me into, I feel like officially like diving into manga too. So it's just so cool. And like, I just love it. You're awesome. You're amazing. Let's see. Well, I love Haikyuu too, and just really excited to be here. And I feel like my mind just blanked, to be honest. But I love Haikyuu. I'm like,
well, like, how long have you been reading manga? Those kinds of things.
Let's see. So I feel like it's been about 2 years that I actually started reading, like really got into collecting manga and just full binge buying, reading mode. And I think after reading a lot, I feel like slice of life contemporary is my favorite, but I do have a strong love for sports manga. I feel like it's just harder to invest, I feel like, in them because they're so long, which is not bad. But I'm just like, the shoujo usually keeps a little bit shorter, but I know Yona's pretty long.
This is true.
And
but Yona's a discussion for another day because I could go on for hours about Yona.
I will say I got the Sacrificial Princess because of you. My husband
did. My heart. Oh, yay! I'm so excited for you to give that one some love because it definitely needs it.
I was like, Shay said that what was your Instagram thing? I think it was like you said you loved it more than Yona, or like it was just not better than Yona, but
basically Yona won't go above it until Yona completes because I need to see how Yona ends. I love Yona pretty much the same.
Gotcha.
But the only way Yona could top it is if the ending is better than the ending to Sacrificial Princess for me. That's essentially where that lands. But okay, we have so much to cover, and I want to cover as much as we can. So we are going to be covering volumes 6 through 20 of Haikyuu in content. That is the tail end of season 1, all of season 2, and I believe about half of season 3.
Yeah.
So we're covering a ton of content.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through this as fast as we can and as thoroughly as we can.
Oh,
so in volumes 6, 7, and 8, we have the match between Karasuno and Abajosai, which finishes out season 1.
Yeah.
This particular match is really formative for why did his name just leave me? I was going to say the wrong name. Kaguyama. I was going to say the right name. Okay, I'm not crazy. Yes, for Kaguyama in particular, because this is the first time Kaguyama's truly had to face the full Abajosai team. His alma mater, where he was supposed to go to school, but because of the things that happened earlier on in the series, he is at Karasuno instead. And I feel like this is him facing basically his idol in Oikawa. He looked up to Oikawa so much. He learned so much from Oikawa because everybody thought Kaguyama would take Oikawa's place at Abajosai. But obviously, because of what happens in the beginning of the series, that's not the case. And they're having to face off against one another. They've always had this rivalry, more so on even Oikawa's side than Kaguyama's.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to see these two in particular face off against one another and against their setting abilities because they are both the setters.
Yeah.
This particular match is also very formative for two other characters, I would say. So I would say Sugawara. This is a very formative match. And for Tadashi, this is a very formative match because of various things that happen. Tadashi, by Little Precious Bean, who gets pulled into this match before he's truly ready.
Yes.
It does end up benefiting the team in a way, but poor Tadashi just got thrown to the lions.
He really did. It was interesting.
He really did. And
Rereading
Sugawara got an opportunity to show himself as more than the team setter, because that was kind of his identity for such a long time with the team.
Yeah.
So to have him come in when Kaguyama starts to fall apart, and not only be the setter, but be able to work with the entire team in a different way, really helped shake things up, because Abajosai was not ready for Sugawara. So it shows Sugawara has skill. Yes, his skills aren't necessarily as legendary as Kageyama's, but they are still formidable, and Abajosai was not ready for that, and they weren't ready for someone as skilled as Sugawara, because he has been training alongside Kageyama this whole time.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this match in particular was best for those three characters. I mean, it's good for everybody, but those three in particular, I feel like got a lot of time, a lot of limelight, and a lot of focus.
Yeah, I will say Volume 8 was the only one that I gave the lowest rating of the whole series, because I was so wrecked at the end of that match. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I knew, I was like, this has
obviously we're talking in spoilers, so they lose this match.
My bad.
No, we're good. That's okay. That's expected. But like, this panel right here will forever wreck me. Period. End of story. I love them. And to see them not talk about losing, but emote how they're feeling through food, and the fact that this coach knew that's what needed to happen for these boys was everything. And that was the moment that Coach Yukai was like, best coach ever for me. Like, that was the moment I was like, dude, I already liked you, but now I love you.
I second all of that. I really do. And it was interesting rereading it, because like through the volumes and stuff, because I agree that Kageyama, he really grew through that match and seeing him. And it was interesting too, because I did not like Oikawa the first time I read the series.
Honestly, a first experience with Oikawa makes you really not like him.
Yes. It's such a...
Like, when you're first introduced to him, you're like, who is this arrogant guy? Like, what is his deal? But the more you get to know him, the more you're like, you're just a high school boy who's insecure. Okay, I can get down with that.
Yes. Yeah, so that was, man, I forgot how moving that Volume 8 was, though, like, with just everything, and then games and stuff. Like, it was a really... I was like,
everything. Like, the one thing you never expect out of a sports manga is the level of emotion and character development that Haikyuu gives you.
I agree.
I mean, I've tried other sports ones that people compare to it, like Slam Dunk and Kuroko's basketball, and they're just not the same.
Yeah.
They are not. And as much as I tried, they're not. But yes. So these volumes conclude season 1 of the anime. So if you're just an anime watcher, this is where season 1 ends, is after volume 8. So the first 8 volumes are season 1.
Okay.
With that, moving on to season 9, we start to prepare to train with all of the teams in Tokyo.
Yes.
And I just love the little like side drama of the grades.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fun. And that's something that kids who play sports don't think about. They don't think about the fact that they have to keep their grades up to even be able to participate in their sport. I know at my school, like, for any sports team, you had to have a certain GPA to participate.
Yes.
If it was below that, you couldn't. You were on suspension until you got your grades up, because they knew how important your education was. And so to see that depicted here was just an extra level of fun. And through all of that, we meet a new character. We get a new manager for the team.
Oh my goodness.
And like, all of the interactions with her are just so precious. I just really enjoy her.
Same. So much same. Oh my goodness.
Yachi. Precious little Yachi.
Yes.
He really is just a nervous little being, and you can see her anxiety. And honestly, I love the dub for her, because like, I relate to so much of that. Yeah. And to see it, like, the way that her brain just flits from thing to thing, and the way that it was like so bonkers sometimes,
Yeah.
but really like understandable in others, like that is
Yes.
how my brain works on the regular. And so I really enjoy Yachi, and I love how Hinata even helps Yachi learn to stand up for herself to the people in her life that she's always been afraid to. And that's kind of just what Hinata does. He just gives everybody the little nugget and the little nudge that they need to take that next step. We see that consistently throughout the series with Hinata, and I love him for it. And that's the main focus of this volume, is the prep to go to Tokyo, as well as running into
Ushijima, right? Is that
Ushijima. I'm like, why did his name just leave me? You can tell I'm a little tired and stressed that I'm not going to get to everything. So yes, they run into Ushijima on the street, and they're like, we're going to beat you. And he's like, okay. And he's like, so we want to go watch you practice. He's like, okay, fine. And so he's like, you just got to keep up. And so they like run with him back to his school. Of course, get lost on the way to the gym because they're distracted teenage boys. And so that was really fun. And then we officially head to Tokyo, and we get to also interact with Tanaka's sister. Yeah, and she is a trip. I really, really love her. Everybody calls her Big Sis, and I love it because that's just who she is. She really just wants to help everybody out. And then before the end of this volume, we are at the first practice rounds in Tokyo, and we see Nekoma again, and Nekoma has another teammate named Lev, who wasn't ready the last time they met with Nekoma, but now he's doing practice games, and we see Hina just start to feel insecure because of Lev. And because of that, you see this moment where he and Asahi have a confrontation on the court, where Hinata focuses and goes for the ball, not realizing the ball was for Asahi. Yeah. And so he was subconsciously trying to take the ball from Asahi, and they collide on the court. Yeah. And like, of course, Hinata immediately, he's like, oh crap, I'm sorry. I was so in the zone. I'm so sorry. Right. But he didn't even realize subconsciously what was happening, but the coaches see that. Yeah. And everybody on the court starts to get a little nervous. Yeah. And then we move on to my salty Shima. I love him. He is a salty little bean, but I love him. This arc of the story really does a lot for Tsukishima. Yes. This is where we learn why Tsukishima is the way he is. And Tsukishima truly is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. That's because awesome. I feel like his story arc is one of the most realistic for someone playing sports, the same sport as a sibling. Yeah, that's true. There is so much about Tsukishima's story that's amazing. And we also get to know Bokuto a bit more in this volume, because he and Tsukishima interact quite a bit, as well as Kuro. Kuro we saw kind of in the Nekoma match before, but now we're getting to know Kuro, and we're getting to know Bokuto, and we're getting to know a lot of these characters that we're going to see till the end of the series. Yes. And there's so much about this whole arc that's great, because they're trying to figure out a strategy for Hinata to keep his eyes open while he's on the court, rather than closing his eyes, so that he can make small corrections on the court that will prevent what happened in the end of the Abajosai game. Right. And so Kageyama's like shut down trying to figure this all out on his own. Yes. Because that's what Kageyama does. That's true. And then Hinata's frustrated because he wants to progress and grow. And so he starts to practice with other people, with Bokuto and Kuro and Tsukishima. Yeah. And that whole crew. And it's really interesting because everybody's kind of like dividing and conquering. And at the same time, Kageyama asks, when he Oikawa, goes, he asks Oikawa for help. And that's such like a humbling thing for him to do. It was. And we do see the old Coach Yukai in this volume as well. We get to see his legendary training, and he's an old man who just won't give up. Yeah. And he trains anybody and everybody. And we do fully get Tsukishima's background and the confrontation that he and Tadashi have. Tadashi calls him out on his bullcrap. He's like, dude, we are all here working so hard. Why can't you even try? And I love him for it, because that really kind of wakes him up, because he's like, Carl, you really turned into somebody, didn't you?
Yeah. I will say that fight between Hinata and Kaguyama,
oh my gosh, that fight.
Me every time. Like when I was reading, I was like, oh my goodness. I was
the first time I watched it, it was like almost awkward. I'm like, but these two are really good friends. They're fighting so hard over this.
Yes.
And so it was hard.
It was.
And you know, then you have Yachi there. She's like, what the heck, you guys? I didn't mean to start a fight.
Yeah, I felt so bad for her.
And then, you know, Tanaka comes in and punches him. Don't fight in front of a girl. I love Tanaka. I really just do. Tanaka's great.
Yeah, I have a totally new appreciation for his character, and seeing things that I missed the first time. I'm like, he shines. He's such just
Tanaka really grows on you. Like the more time you spend with Tanaka and see what he does for the team, like on the outskirts and not even really realizing it, is amazing. Yeah.
I second that.
And I love the oh yeah conversation is what happens in this volume.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I
was like, man, it's a
because Suki comes and he asks them, why do you play? This is just an extracurricular. Why do you play? And Bokuto is like, if this is just an extracurricular for you, dude, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And so that was just it's so fun, because the emphasis that the mangaka puts on certain panels is amazing. Like right here, the attention to the detail in Bokuto's eyes is something that Furodate does a lot, because then you see Tsukishima's eyes open a little bit more than they normally do in the following panel. And it's little details like that that make this so good. And then, you know, now that Tsukishima's woke, Bokuto doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right. That's the first 5 volumes. We're doing okay. Crap. We've got so many more to go. All right. So in the beginning of volume 11, we get to see Kaguyama and Hinata start to sync back up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And we also get to see Hinata learn some new tricks and ways of coping with his height on the court and the differences there. I'm briefly like flipping through to make sure I don't miss important things.
Yeah.
And, you know, Bokuto teaches Hinata basically how to do a fake out. And then he does it to Bokuto. And Bokuto, like, freaks out. And their setter's like, dude, you taught him that. He's like, oh, yeah, I did. And they're just like, dude, why'd you do that? Funny. I love it.
I forgot how funny he was. I mean, it's like, you know, he's funny, but then you start reading about him, and you're like, man, he is just... You just, like they say, you just can't help but cheer for him. You can't be helped but excited because of his character and just how he acts and how he's just such a fun guy. He's just such a fun guy.
Bokuto is a clown. He's an adorable, lovable clown, and you can't help but love him. And he is incredibly talented as a spiker. Like, he is.
Yeah.
And you can't deny his talent on the court. But he's such a forgetful goofball when he's not focused that you can't help but love him.
Yes.
And we get that special moment where the new special attack hits for the first time.
Yeah.
For the whole thing. Like, it all lands perfectly. And you see everybody's reaction to that. Not only Fuguro Dani, but you see Kenma see this out of the corner of his eye. And you see him and Kuro react. And everybody around them reacting to it. And it's amazing. It's so, so good. And everybody's like, what the crap, these guys. And you see them grow so much over this week that they're all training together in Tokyo, that I just love it. Yeah. And then from there, you have this big giant barbecue where everybody's drooling. And the moment where Tanaka and Nishinoya and then the other guy from Nekoma, like, are all protective
Yes.
of the girls is hilarious. I love it.
Same.
And then you have this moment where Yachi's in the middle of all these really tall dudes.
I was
and he's like, dude, if you saw this in the middle of the street, you'd be so worried. It's amazing.
It is. It is.
But, you know, like, just little things like this panel make this series so powerful. It's so good.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tokyo training camp is over. And you see everybody kind of training and trying to get ready for the next set. And we finally see, like, Coach Yukai, old Coach Yukai, sees the amazing set.
And I forgot all about
okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Just the level of shock on that man's face, the way it's drawn, is perfect. They're just like, one more, please.
Yes.
And you see Tsukishima have this moment with his brother.
That was good.
Where everything kind of comes clean between the two of them.
Yeah.
Not just in the past. But yeah.
I really
love we're prepping for the next big match. And we have our new formidable opponent coming our way.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. On to volume 12, unless you have more to say. Sorry, I'm like blitzing and like saying.
No, you're doing great. We're going to like.
Anytime you want to interrupt, we just do.
No, you're doing great. I would say this is my favorite cover, I feel like, out of the series.
It's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
It's a really good cover.
Yeah.
And it does cover a lot of what we see going on within the volume. Like, it's so great.
I forgot, like, this one felt a lot thicker than the other.
It did. I honestly think it is a little bit longer, if I remember right, because some of the chapters in this one are just a little longer.
Yeah. It was interesting going and seeing, like, with these matches that are coming up in these volumes, that I was like, man, I was like, I forgot how much I like these too, because I feel like sometimes, like, the intensity of those other big matches, like, I wouldn't say drown out, but it's sometimes, like, for me, it was harder to remember. So it's why you dive in. You're like, man, like, this was a
But I also love the little side things that you don't get in the anime, like the girls in their attire, like all dressed up. But down here in the corner, it's just Yachi dreaming.
I didn't even see that. You know that?
No?
I saw that.
That's why reading the manga is always such a fun experience, because you have those little nuggets that you can't ever really properly put in the anime. And so it's just those little things that make a big difference. And of course, as is the beginning with every match, Hinata has a confrontation in the bathroom with a guy from the first team they're going to play. And this guy's like, you know, we're up against another big team. We were up against Shiratorizawa last time. Yeah. And he's not feeling okay about it. And so anyways, this first match is more formidable for the opposite team than it is for our Kurasuno team. Because it helps them realize that it's okay and it's cool to like be fervent and like go all out in the game. And that's essentially what that is for. And it's amazing.
I love their captain. Some of the places I marked.
Yeah, like the original captain and the new captain are both really, really cool dudes. And it's really interesting to see how the legacy continues for that team. Because this guy, he was the only senior and he recruited so hard for his team. And he basically ended up with a bunch of delinquents. Yeah. But he helps like teach these delinquents that it's okay to love volleyball. Yeah. And they all just, especially after this match with Kurasuno, they have this extra level of respect for that captain and for how fervent he was. Yeah. And it just changed the whole dynamic for them. And it was fantastic. I mean, you get this whole moment where the old captain had come to watch them go for it. And it was just really sweet. I really, really liked it. I thought it was really, I'm so glad that they added that. There's little things like that throughout the series. Yeah. That the mangaka takes the extra time to add in. Yeah. Like the whole thing, there's a whole episode that I think it's called Losers, where it focuses on the perspective of the losing teams, because the girls team loses and then
there's the other one that's coming to mind.
Daichi's friend.
Yes, that's
what is on the other team.
Yeah.
I'm like, why isn't Daichi's name coming to me? Yeah. I love Daichi. Daichi King. Yes. But yeah. And then from there, we're going against a team who has recruited someone who is 6'7" to play on their team.
Yeah.
And he's not very well trained. He's clearly brand new. All he has going for him is basic skills and his height. Yeah. And Kurasuno starts to see that. But Hinata's so short that it stops him. He's just like, how am I supposed to go against somebody who's 6'7"? We're in Japan. No one's 6'7".
Yeah.
And so it's just this really interesting thing to watch them get their workaround going and to figure out how to go against this team with this guy.
Yeah.
When, Hinata's so short and their normal attack won't work.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And, this guy, he's kind of like, well, isn't this game super simple? And now he's starting to realize, like, what the heck?
Yes.
That is not how this game works. How is this little short dude above me? Like, he says that at one point. And it's just so interesting because we get to see him more later. We're going to talk more about him later.
Yeah.
But this whole match is very formidable for him as well.
Yeah.
Because some of the basics of the game haven't really been taught to him. And they do their synchronized attacks. They do all sorts of things to combat what's going on here. And it's amazing. Like, the whole match is fantastic. Hinata comes out on top. Yeah. And Yachi's up in the stand. She's like, yay, they did it. And they didn't have to stand on a black Billy Lantern. Because they were talking about, like, standing on things before, like a Pikachu or a Hello Kitty and things like that.
Yes.
And
I love that.
That's part of why I love Yachi. She adds that little drip of humor.
Yes.
When, like, someone like Nishinoya or Tanaka can't.
Yeah.
She's kind of that little bit of comedy sprinkled throughout when they can't get to it. And it's really, really good. And that is kind of like the qualifying round for this particular match. And then we're going to take a break. But we run into somebody who's hitting on...
I love his character so
Kyoko.
much.
And so Hinata obviously is putting a stop to it. He has to protect Kyoko because Tanaka and Nishinoya are nowhere nearby. Yes. So he must protect, otherwise he will be in trouble. And this character is someone we will definitely be seeing again. And he's like, oh, you got some hops. Because Hinata, like, jumps in between him to get his attention and get him focused on him, not her.
Yeah.
And, we'll see him very, very soon.
That whole
we also see Tsukishima's brother making a little extra effort to make sure that Tsukishima's enjoying himself on the court.
Yeah.
And gets him a special prezi that we'll talk about soon.
Yeah.
And then we go back to training mode. More training in Tokyo with the gang, finalizing some things, getting ready for the next round of the tournament. So we get to see Kaguyama go undercover to go to Amajosai. And he looks ridiculous. And Yachi's like, dude, you're playing a sport. Just wear your sports gear there. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he's like exuding this aura of I go to school here. Go to school here. But everybody's like, who is this weird dude?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But he goes and he spies and you see Tsukishima starting to make more effort. You see everybody starting to make more effort. And Mad Dog comes into the picture. Mad Dog is another character that grows on you, I think, the more you get to know the series.
I agree. Because I don't think
but this moment right here, like this.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Is one of my favorite moments.
Yes.
So essentially, Tsukishima's like, okay, how do I do this when they're bigger and stronger than me? And the coach is like, oh, you're asking for help? And it's great. And they talk about how it's timing and he gets some pointers and he starts training with his brother's team to help build up his strength and get ready for Ushijima.
I loved that his brother did that for him.
Right.
That was really cool.
Alrighty. So now it's time for the Daichi cover.
Yes, I love this
volume 13.
Yes. Except for one scene, I would honestly say this is probably one of my favorite volumes in the whole series. Like, I just love.
I would agree, honestly. This volume is super solid. Because Ushijima's back. We see Ushijima. We see Abajosai.
Yeah.
We see Date Tech. We're seeing everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as the people we're going to be going up against. And again, confrontation in the bathroom or on the way to the bathroom, which is that classic Hinata thing.
It
where he's on his way to the bathroom. He runs into Oikawa and the spiker.
Iwa-chan. Well, I don't know. I always call him Iwa-chan. Even though I know that's full name.
Iwa-chan.
Yeah.
Iwaizumi. There it is.
Yes.
Iwaizumi. And then Ushijima shows up. And then what's his name from Date Tech shows up.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Starts with an A, right? Aomine? Did I say that?
Ione.
There we go.
Uh-huh. And then we see the girls' team where Tanaka has a former classmate. And he knows them. So we just see them briefly. We'll see them more later. So yes, Kurasuno versus Jozenji. Here we go.
Yes.
So Jozenji is a really interesting team for Kurasuno because Jozenji is a lot like Kurasuno, where you kind of don't know what to expect out of them.
Yeah.
They always have a surprise up their sleeve, and they're constantly learning and growing and evolving, and that just is such. This match in particular was always one of my favorites.
Yep,
because of that.
Yes.
And it really, because it's hard to face a team that's like your own, because you understand each other better.
Right. I love too. We really see Daichi, like how foundational he is to the team, and just him get this spotlight, because that was like the only thing I was like, I don't like when the other captains sort of like throw shade at Daichi. Like I really love your character.
Daichi's awesome. Back off my Daichi, man.
Yes.
Like, I will feel that way forever.
Yes. Because I'm like,
but we get to a point where Kaguyama even gets hit in the face with a ball. And he's like, dude, you got to leave the court till you stop bleeding. But this is also a game where they actually pull Hinata out for a bit and make him watch one of his one of the older guys who's worked with Sugawara a bit more on some of the stuff.
That's right.
And so it's a learning experience, not only for him, but for Kaguyama, because he has to sit out and watch as well.
Yeah.
But, you still see this senpai lineup, and Tsukishima, of course, just, like, breathing fire and letting everybody, like, let them know who's boss. And Jozenji sees them do their synchronized attack, and then they try one of their own.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, that's not going to happen. And they're like, oh, man, I thought we had it. But they took this risk on, like, the last point of the set.
Yeah.
And so you see, like, the coach and the manager, like, kind of freak out about it. And they're like, dude, like, you got to watch your timing. Like, he's like, but I want to beat that weird pair. And so it's just really, really good. That particular match definitely makes Daichi shine, because they're without a strong captain. They had a really strong captain.
Right.
But then he's gone, and the manager has to remind them, like, go back to the basics, dude.
Yeah.
You can't build your playground without a foundation. You need to, like, it's okay to not always be flashy.
Right.
And so that worked really, really well and helped them get through the match.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked seeing how Jozenji's was just getting fired up. They were ready for more, but the game was over.
Yeah.
And like, their little manager was really sweet, and they all really did their best to, like, take care of her in the end. And I really liked her.
I did too.
But, and then we see Ione speak. We see him speak. And he's like, tomorrow I will beat you.
Yes.
And all that does is, like, hype Hinata up. And he's just like, nope, we're winning.
Yes. I love their friendship. It is so great.
It's actually so super cute. I love their friendship. Their friendship's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. And then Wakutani.
I had forgotten all about this match, to be honest, until I was
the Wakutani one, really?
I did. I think it's because I didn't really love their team, and I think it's just because their team is such, specifically that main guy that I think is the captain. Like he is such the
Takaru.
Yes, that he's like the little giant, so he's really very much
Takaru and his fan club.
Yes, I love that. I was like,
I love his family fan club. That's definitely wonderful.
That was so great. So I think just because it's like they make such a good team and they're really such a great challenge for Hinata in this. And I guess I just maybe forgot that because I'm like, it was a different kind of challenge and he plays so close to his idol. So because I was like, until I saw it,
he's not come across someone like him yet. Yeah. And so this is the first time Hinata does. Yeah. And Big Sis comes to watch, of course.
Yeah.
And I love Big Sis.
Same.
And so it's really, really interesting to see Hinata kind of freak out almost. Because this guy is a lot like him. Mm-hmm. And their team is a lot like Nekoma.
Yes.
Who always throws him for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Nekoma likes to sit back and watch and strategize, and that's exactly what Wakutani is doing.
That is true.
But the biggest thing that happens in this match,
oh my goodness,
is this.
Yes.
What a panel to end the volume on.
I know.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Were you reading this as it was releasing?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to just blitz and keep going.
Yeah. I could not imagine.
The first time I read most of this was on the Shonen Jump app.
Okay.
So okay. I was able to just go right to the next chapter, and I did okay. I feel bad for the people who had to wait like months before the next volume.
Same. I was
because seriously, like, this looks like the end.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the ever-loving heck?
Yes.
Yes. With that said, that's us moving on to volume 14, which is a very formative volume for one of our characters. This is definitely Inoshida's volume. You can't say any different.
Right. Agreed.
So Daichi got hit hard. He's out of the game. And we see Jozenji like lamenting their loss. They're like, but what about that captain guy?
Yeah.
And then we come back to Daichi kind of waking up after the hit.
Yeah.
And Oikawa and crew did see what happened. Yeah. And so it's really interesting. And so Daichi's got to go get looked at. They're like, what are we going to do? Asahi, it's in your hands. They don't have anybody like Daichi who's coming in. It's Inoshida. And Inoshida is a really interesting character for me because Inoshida has a lot of insecurities as a player. Yeah. And he is the most logical step for the next captain. And we know this at this point because of how he handles the other second years and the first years, because he's the only one who can kind of wrangle them well, other than Daichi. Daichi, Sugawara, and Inoshida are the three wranglers. Like, that's who they are. Yeah. And with Daichi and Sugawara graduating, the natural next is Inoshida. Because the other second years that are prominent on the team are too chaotic. Like, no.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And, Inoshida's freaking out, and then Tsukishima's like, oh, I thought it'd be you. Like, that was the logical conclusion for him. And everybody's trying to help him feel a little more comfortable on the court, but at the same time, like, make him feel part of the team, and he's not really feeling that way. I mean, he tries, but, then, the captain on the other side, he's like, nice try, sub-captain.
Yes.
Substitute captain. And so he's doing his best, but he's trying to be exactly like Daichi, but he's not Daichi.
Right.
He needs to figure that out. So another thing, we see his whole backstory where basically training got too hard. He took a step back and almost quit the team. And that's why he's felt so insecure as a player.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the other 2 second years that we don't see too much of were in the same boat. Like they almost quit as well. So it's really interesting to see. But we have another moment for Tadashi in this match as well.
Yes.
Tadashi gets to sub in, finish out the set, and he really tried super hard to do better. He makes it over the net the first time, but then he chickens out and he doesn't do the jump set like he should. And that was a moment, you know, Inoshida's feeling relief at the end of the set, but Tadashi's already mad at himself because he didn't take the risk.
Yeah. And I loved their moment.
The coach
comes
in. He's so mad. He's ready to tell him off. And Inoshida steps in. He's like, Coach, he already knows.
I know his expression is just so heartbreaking.
Face. Look at that face. How can you not love this face?
I know. He is
you were going to say, sorry.
No, I love their moment that they have right on the court before, where he's like, how are you feeling? He's like, I'm okay. He's like, because I feel like I could barf any minute now. I was like, he's more nervous than me. So I thought that was just, I think that was a great moment to make his character more relatable too, because I felt like out of the characters, besides the other second years that we haven't really met, that I had the most disconnect with him. And so I felt like, this was a really informative volume about him, and getting to like him and see him more, at least for me personally, that he is more than just a substitute or like a replacement. Like he really becomes his own character and can stand his own 2 feet.
I definitely agree with that. This is definitely his volume. Yeah. Where he really does everything he can for everybody on the court.
Yeah.
And Inoshida is great that way. He feels a lot of pressure to be just like Daichi because he's subbing in for Daichi. But at the same time, he's starting to realize that that's not what he needs to do. He's good on his own. Mm-hmm. And this whole match is him learning to speak up for what he can do and what he can give to the game.
That's true.
Because here, he's like, hey, guys, do you have a sec? And he's like, I've got a plan. Let's try this.
Yeah.
And, he's like, I got to do my part or this isn't going to work. And he has this amazing moment where he goes far back and he hits the ball in. And this whole thing, like, I'm tearing up thinking about it again because I remember the first time I watched all of this, I literally lost my crap. I was bawling.
Yeah.
Because it was amazing and just so, so good.
It was. And seeing, like, one of the parts that I guess I marked is where he says, no getting happy feet. That was a good jump start. And it was really cool just seeing him really just come in and be able to be just like a captain, and seeing that he will be a good captain in the future and be able to hold his own and continue to take this team far with new members and the old members.
Exactly. And this whole rest of this volume, you see Inoshida just be his own kind of king on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of this volume, you see Daichi come back.
Yeah.
And so, he tells Inoshida that he saw his big save towards the end and he saw what he was doing. He's like, I would have just messed up the flow. But, afterwards, Inoshida's still feeling relieved that Daichi's back and he's feeling a lot of guilt again. And so that's something that's a continuous thing. But then we have this moment with Tadashi where he's like, guys, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But he's not really going to the bathroom. He's going to talk to the coach. And we'll talk about that again. But then the next part of this story is going to focus on Abajase or Daytech. Who are we gonna fight? And so that's our focus here in the next volume. 15. We've got like 5 more to go after this one. We're almost at the hour mark. We're still doing good. Like I say, there's tons to cover in these.
There is.
So the biggest takeaways from this volume, because I don't feel like it's quite as crucial as some of the others. Obviously, early on in the volume, the biggest takeaway is meeting the new J-Tech setter.
Yes. He really rubbed off on me because at first I was like, oh, he's okay. But then later on, then I was like, oh, and reread him. I was like, he's so just, I don't know. He's precious in his own little
He's a
way.
precious little bean. He's a little derpy, but we love him anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really interesting seeing both of these teams at the beginning compete.
Right, because we'd never seen Daytech really go against anybody else.
Yeah.
That was a strong team.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing Kogane come in and try to be a setter, and Kogane's still clumsy. He's still learning things and figuring himself out. It is great. But at the same time, you also have Iba-chan sticking up for himself. He's like, Oikawa, let me fight my own battles. And he's like, Roger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, that iron wall is still formidable, even with Kogane being clumsy. Mm-hmm. But Daytech does ultimately lose that match, and we go up against Aoba Josai once again. But this moment right here, we have to acknowledge this.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because Ione is telling Kogane basically that your next opponent might not be big and strong. He might be this dude, essentially. And you see them, like, in passing, acknowledge one another in this just quiet, subtle way that they have together.
Yes.
And it's so good.
It is. I love the foreshadowing there because it is very, because the first time I briefly remembered it, but I was like, yeah, it's like that really just sets things up for later. And I loved that. I thought that was really good.
Because Ione knew that the next time he saw Hinata on the court, he wanted his butt handed to him.
Yeah.
He wanted to take him out. And so you just see them not like, Hinata didn't sympathize with him. He's like, dude, I'll see you next time, essentially. And it's just the level of friendly competition that these teams have together. And I love that so much.
Yeah.
No one's super nasty to one another. They're just competitive. And they're friends when they're off the court. And that's what I love about this series.
Same.
And now we are into the big Aoba Josai battle number 2.
This match was so intense.
It's so intense. So intense. So basically in this one, we kind of see everybody's just kind of warming up, getting comfortable with one another. And of course, she's a total boss queen. We get her moment. We love her.
Yes.
And, you know, heads or tails is done. We're getting into things. Things are going. Aoba Josai hasn't been up against them since they've gotten all their intensive training.
Yep.
And now we have to face Mad Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Not only are we facing Aoba Josai, but we're throwing in the curveball that is Mad Dog. Because Karasuno's doing really well against Aoba Josai, but now they've got someone. It took them a minute to get the magic move going again, because they were both feeling a little nervous, because that was how the game ended last time. And so they just weren't quite ready, and it took them a minute to get that going. But once they did, they had a really good rhythm, and then they throw Mad Dog into the match. But of course, we have Oikawa's monster serves that have only gotten stronger since the last match. We didn't talk about that too much last time, but the man has a monster serve, and it's just getting crazier. Everybody on the team is like, dude, that's basically a spike. I'm gonna die if I go after it. But yeah. So Kunimi, aka Mad Dog, is now put in the game, and he is a serious wild card. Everybody on Aoba Josai basically circles around whatever he's doing, rather than the other way around. And I found that to be a very interesting tactic. But it just shows that Oikawa can bring out the best in any player he wants to. And that's an intimidating thing for any other setter to see, honestly.
Yeah.
And we get Kiyotani's backstory as well. He's always kind of been a lone wolf because of his personality.
Yeah.
But he knows this team is super talented, and he likes playing with them when he gets to. And it's great.
Yeah.
And then we have a moment where we sub in Sugawara, but it's not for Kageyama. we sub him in for someone else. I believe it's Tsukishima, if I remember right.
I think so. Oh,
and their tactic is a little bit different. Yeah, it's Suki. Because Sugawara has a better serve, essentially, and so they sub him in to serve so he can do a more pinpointed serve to target Kiyotani to make it so he can't spike. And so they go that tactic. They figure it out pretty quick. And then they also switch where Sugawara sets and Kaguyama spikes.
That was fun.
And it's really fun to watch all of that go down and just to see all these new tactics that are coming up. They debate pulling out Mad Dog. And then we get to this moment where my precious bean wants in the game. Please, coach, put me in. And Tadashi flies in volume 16.
He does.
The level of crying I get when I think about Tadashi and his arc in this game. Like, you can already tell my eyes are starting to get red because I'm getting emotional, and that happens. But anyways, I'm talking way too much, Laura. You need to, like, shut me up.
You're doing so great, though. You're doing so great. I mean, I totally agree with everything you're sharing. I mean, a lot of the things that you're mentioning that I'm like, I have a little tab there, my little sticky note of how much I just enjoyed that. But I agree. I seeing him grow, especially in the beginning, was so satisfying, and I really loved it. Like, it's interesting because I don't know when I feel like in recent months that Yams has just become like one of my favorite characters. And
Yamaguchi, such a sweetie. I love him.
He is. And I feel like ever since having like this just, I don't know, whatever turning point it was, like I was able to read his story and it was just.
I will forever ship him and Yachi. I will die on that hill.
Oh my goodness, yes. They make a fantastic couple. They really would. I am here for that. I am 100% here for that. I feel like, like this match just kept getting more and more intense, and it was just very interesting seeing Mad Dog in this match and see them really, throw off their gear.
And Tanaka start to go after one another. But they're like, did Tanaka do that on purpose? They're like, no, that's just Tanaka.
Yes.
Which is so the truth.
I loved how this guy, how he stood up to Mad Dog. I thought that was a great.
Oh, yeah. He's the second year setter. So he's the person who would be taking Oikawa's place.
Oh, okay. I missed.
And Kiyotani is also a second year.
Yeah.
And so he's like, dude, you got to figure your crap out.
Yeah.
Like, you are not the only person on this court. We play as a team, dude. Figure it out.
Yeah, and I loved how he came in and how his coach was saying, or the assistant coach, of like he's never seen that look on his face. And I feel like that's when it shows that there's more to Mad Dog than him just being this angry character that's on the court causing havoc, so to speak. And
right.
What at least made me second guess, like, do you really deserve to be out on this court? Like, they're a good team without you, but it's in that moment you see like they're an even better team with him. And I don't know if it's in this volume or if it was in the previous volume or the next volume, but when he's talking to his friend and he talks about that feeling of when you can face your teammates and then face back at you, like I feel like there's more to that. I don't know which volume it is. I can't find my sticky
I think it's in this one.
It is this one? Okay. But I really loved that conversation that they had, or that he tells Mad Dog about. Here we go. When you face your team will face you. If both sides can do that without flinching, then you'll be able to bounce off of each other and make each other stronger. And if you can pull that off, well, consider yourself really lucky. I really love that. And we see, I feel like, the fulfillment of those words finally in it. And, so just give Mad Dog more than just this angry character kind of thing that I feel like we see in the beginning.
But I have to acknowledge, the first time he gets it over how he wants it over. That everybody rallies around him. The person who taught him how to do it is like, yes. It is so amazing. I love it. And like these random girls who are there figuring out with Joe's side, I love them because they root for Tadashi and I love them. I just love it. And like he's doing exactly what he wants. You see his confidence now in the art. in the way he's drawn, in the way he puts the ball where he wants it. It's amazing. Just the way the art on him has changed for this volume. Because he is our focus character. Is just amazing. And just all these little things that, like the little blushing because he's so excited. And just all of those little things. And he takes like 5 points for himself from Abajosai. And, you know, he actually took a ball to the chest.
Yeah, I know.
It back. And he's like, ow.
Yeah.
That hurts. You
I know
it's
near the
quite
end.
go as well after that. But
I love this panel here too.
I love them.
I love their friendship.
Hinata will always be like one of Tadashi's like biggest fans, and will do everything to make him feel so good going onto the court. And I love that because that's how the whole Karasuno team really acts. And you know, you have this friendly thing. I really will score the 10 points next time. He's like, I'm not gonna lose. I'm gonna score 10 points too. And that's just how they work. That's how Hinata is with everybody on his team, and I love it. And you see all this confidence and strength all over the court on both sides. You know, and then we've got, you know, the final showdown going on here. The last set, the big kahuna. And this big, giant, what feels like a boss battle. That's where we get Kyotani's backstory, is during all of that. And talking about different types of strength. And it's so, so good. And then they throw this extra little hit in where they go straight down instead of like further out for the spike. And they literally like spike it so hard straight down so they can't get to it in time. And there's lots of little things like that that will play out later and be important that happen in that match. And that match is so, so good.
It is. It is. They're such an exciting team to watch because of how they just clash in such a great rivalry and skills and just how they come together.
I just have to say it. Oikawa was the best final boss ever.
He really is.
But yeah, basically towards the end here, we're about halfway through the set. Well, I guess closer to the end of the set than I thought. Because Sukawara has been subbed in for Tsukishima again at the end of this volume. So we finish up that game in this volume, in 17.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I feel I was so emotional when this match ended.
Right, the whole thing is. And of course, Kaguyama's a cheeky little brat and he sneaks one in on him. Because that's who Kaguyama is.
Yeah.
One more point. The chance for one more point. And everybody's like shocked that Kaguyama snuck a dump in right then. So then you have this amazing moment where Iwa's clear across the freaking court. Oikawa points at him and he gets the ball to him and he hits it.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. But it doesn't go down. It gets saved. They keep going. And then at this point, you know, it's just this final volley back and forth. Where he sees his way. And they have this almost repeat moment of the previous match. But Oikawa doesn't get there fast enough because it got hit. And he misses it. The look on Oikawa's face right here, because he knows that it's lost, is so good. This panel lives rent-free in my brain all the time because this is so powerful. In so many ways. Like, I have never felt so strongly about a ball getting missed as I did in this. Because you see the despair in the shadowing and the way he's positioned.
You do.
Through the whole thing. Because he just realized he lost. And that he's not going to nationals. And then you have this whole emotional moment for all the seniors on both sides. And then you see Ushijima confront Oikawa and say, dude,
Oh my goodness.
Too much arrogance. You should have come to Shiratorizawa.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, like oh my goodness. I have to commend Oikawa so much because I'm just like, I'm glad that Oikawa just stuck with what he wanted to do, that he didn't simply just go there because he is such a fantastic setter. I mean, he is the great king, but he stayed. And despite all the things Ushijima said, how like basically their whole team sucks but him, that he still stayed, and I felt like to that moment that was like when I wasn't fond of his character, I was like, we share a bondness of our dislike of Ushijima. I was like, I do not. I mean, I like him a little bit more now, but as soon as he called Hinata like that he was from the Bear and Concrete, I was like, no. Like, dude, is like you cannot bash Hinata and get away with this. Like, it's just a no. But I say that scene though, when Oikawa doesn't, when he misses, that was like one of the most pivotal moments I feel like I've ever seen. I remember when I was reading that the first time, I was like, this is one time where it's just like, I don't know, because I thought, well, nothing could top the anime. I was so ignorant. I was so ignorant. And then I read this and I was like, you're so.
And then you saw that panel and you're just like, oh crap.
It's so true.
No wonder the anime's so good. The source material is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. I ate my words so hardcore because
honestly, same.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, even like rereading it, it just, I don't know. I'm like, what is this feeling? I remember when it ended, I was like, well, I'm glad they lost, but I sort of feel sad at the same time. Like it was just, I feel like a combustion of feelings. And even then, when I read it the second time, I was like, well, I'm sad you guys lost, but,
Yeah.
So.
And then we have this whole moment on the bus with the two coaches after that match because they're driving back. They're done for the day. And it's just very interesting because you kind of see them chat and just have a good conversation about how they've both done their best. And we start to see the backstory of our three seniors there for a minute. We get a little glimpse of that. We'll see more of that later. And that is where season 2 ends. We now dive into the short 10 episode season 3.
I know, so short. It was so short. We need
True.
season 5.
Because it's just the Ushijima match.
Yeah, but that definitely was like such an intense season altogether.
So we see this little moment with Nekoma saying, hey, Shoujo said they made the finals. And then we see the cute girls team, and I totally ship her and Daichi forever.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yes, she gives him a little good luck charm, and they go off to the game. They've brought their own like cheering squad, which is super cute.
Yeah.
And then, it's all about the build up to the Shiratorizawa game. And now we are in the Shiratorizawa match against Ushijima. And the thing with Ushijima that makes him so strong is he's left-handed. So where everybody else is dominantly right-handed, he has that slight advantage on the court because his ball spins different. So they're not used to hitting it.
Right.
But they're prepared for that. Nishinoya's like, it's going to take me a little bit of time, but I'll get there. And so everybody's just got to kind of keep up until then. And it's so good because you see Tsukishima's brother show up to support, and you see Nishinoya finally figure things out. And it's amazing when he finally gets that ball up.
Yes.
Oh, I love that moment.
Yes.
But, Ushijima's just Ushijima. He's just being his arrogant self. And the whole Shiratorizawa team kind of has that energy. So it's really interesting to see our humble Karasuno boys up against them.
Though I do love Goshiki.
He's Goshiki is really an interesting kid. I love Goshiki. And what's his face? The crazy redhead. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, Tendo. Is that his name?
Yeah, Tendo.
Oh my goodness.
Tendo is chaos personified. And like Tendo is all or nothing, and you see that play out so much in the gambles that he takes.
Yeah.
And Tendo going up directly with Tsukishima all the time is really, really interesting.
It is. It is.
And, Tsukishima's thinking 12 steps ahead, like he usually does.
Yeah. Yeah. This is right how my sticky notes sound like. I have to look through everything. Yeah. Like, refresh.
Uh-huh.
It was fun having a character like Tendo, and especially with, a team where power is it. And Tendo, yes, he's a powerful character, I guess, but in a different way than just
the fact that he can read people really well is his strength.
Yeah.
And he goes on instinct more than skill.
Yeah.
And that's a double-edged sword for him. And so, we have this moment where Tadashi, I just have to acknowledge that we have this moment where Tadashi swaps in and Tsukishima doesn't even turn around.
Yes.
But like to Tadashi, that's a compliment. He's like, because you don't have to reassure me anymore.
Yes.
And it's so good. So good.
It is. It is. What did you think of their coach?
Oh, he's a jerk. Flat out.
I totally
will call him a jerk forever because it's what he is.
He really is. Oh, there's Semi. I love Semi's character.
Uh-huh.
I didn't like him at first, and I was trying to, right before the live stream, I was trying to find where he says it, but I know that he has a conversation with the setter, and I just loved what they talked about. But I'm like, I can't find what it is. I'm like, I know I have it somewhere. But I feel like that was just a really profound moment. I don't know if it was just because at the time I was reading it or what, when he's telling him, though, that he knows he can't be the setter because he wants the attention. But he says, at least in this moment, I have my serve and I can give it my all.
Yeah, it might be in the next volume.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, skip ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. But we do ramp up to the total defense where everything starts to sync together because Tsukishima's been 12 steps ahead and the managers did a lot of work trying to prepare the team to go up against them. Yeah.
It is really amazing to see him basically just run that defense and he is, it's so exciting to see from where we were at the beginning with the training camp and stuff and seeing him not that excited compared to everybody else and then seeing him just this, he's almost a spoiler for the upcoming volume. So
you're good.
I was like, I love
all spoilers now. You're good.
It's exciting to see where he's starting to get hooked on volleyball, that he's starting to say he's thinking ahead and that this is becoming more than just, an extracurricular activity at this point. I know they still have a while to go and the match has just begun, but it's just really exciting because I felt personally, because I didn't love Suzuki's character in the beginning, and I felt like this whole match was such a shifting point for me to seeing. And my friend was so adamant. She's like, "There's so much more to his character." She's like, "That's why Yams is best friends with him." I'm like, "Yeah, but why does he act like just so salty?" I was like, "I think it just
because he's salty Shima. He's called Salty Shima for a reason, man."
So true.
And obviously, Volume 18 is all about Tsukishima and that moment where we see all the growth come together for him.
Yes.
And we see
right there
how he purposely opened a path for Ushijima to take. And he blocks him.
One of the best moments, I think.
Takes him out. But this has its consequences. But this moment is another one from this series that lives rent-free in my head.
Yes, it does.
Because it's the moment where he's like, this game is cool. This game is mine. And it's hooked me. And they specifically take the words from Bokuto and put them back in these panels. And that's just something that the mangaka does so well. The mangaka did every word on purpose. And the way that all of that loops back around each time is just amazing. He's like, this is just a point. This should not be as cool as it is, but it is. And
see,
and this, that was an awesome 1 point out of 100. I approve.
Yeah.
That's just such a Hinata thing.
It is. It is.
But then, Fuji says thanks, but of course in subtitles it's like, you're a middle blocker too. Let's see you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just how their dynamic works in their team. And it's just so good. Like this whole match, like it's really hard to discuss without going through each panel because it is such a powerful thing. I mean, just so many moments of powerful art, powerful storytelling, and about how the setter of the Shiratorizawa team wants to help Ushijima fly and wants to watch him fly and all those kinds of things. And it's amazing to watch and to see how their whole team, both sides, are growing and learning as the game develops. And it's so good. And I could just talk about it forever.
Yeah. It is just such a fantastic match. And I feel like just the art alone, where you feel more and more of that intensity. Like, I mean, if the previous match was intense, you're seeing it just in the art alone. Like this
that is one thing Furutate does really well, is they're really good at letting you know how intense the moment is.
Yes.
Through the art, because it almost changes. Because when it's just the normal stuff, it's pretty standard shonen art.
Right.
But those powerful moments, you can tell that so much time went into drawing one panel.
Yeah.
That that's the one you need to notice.
Yeah.
But the volume's also full of little things like this that just make me smile along the way through all the intensity to help break up those moments. But honestly, these last 2 volumes are both so good. I mean, we see the craziness of Tendo even more in volume 20.
We do.
And it's just so good. And you see how they all just want it so desperately and so bad. And they fight so hard, tooth and nail for it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this panel, or this page. This one here.
Yeah.
It is just, man, like that, capturing that feeling of like what is on the line in this moment. I mean, the intensity. I felt like there were times where I just had to put this down and just breathe for a second. Just breathe.
And then you have Tendo here when he gets it right, and he almost like gloats about it. And you have so much going on. Tsukishima gets injured and he's pulled off the court for a while. But then you have this rivalry between Ushijima and Hinata. He's like, I want to crush you. You bother me. I don't like this.
Yes.
And it's so intense. It's so intense, and it keeps going and going and going, and it's brilliant and amazing. So I believe there's only one more volume of this match. So volume 21 finishes off this match. Because we're in the 5th set at the end of this volume and almost there. So one more volume and then season 3 is done. So we basically cover almost all of season 3, except the final climax moments.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this was a lot to cover in one live show. Normally I would not cover this much in a live show, but I haven't had a chance to do them for a while. And you were so kind to come on and do them with me. And I know we just kind of blitzed through so much. I promise the next time I have you on to talk about Haikyuu, we'll take our time, and it'll only be 5 volumes. I promise you. I will not get this far behind on them again.
It was great, though. I mean, it was really exciting to be able to talk, volume per volume with someone, and not have to worry about spoilers for, these volumes, I should say.
Right.
And it's just so great being able to like reread it. And I mean, it like I binge read some of them, a few of them in a day, and it was so nice. I was like, it's like the characters are amazing, they're great, and then sometimes somehow it gets a little bit watered down how great they are, and then you come back and you're like, I love these guys so much, like
Right.
how could the
Every
excitement
time
overdo
Tadashi is pulled in a game, my heart just like
Yes.
gets happy because I
Yes.
love him so much. Same with
Yeah.
Sugawara. And it's just, this series really is so unique in the space of manga to me, because it bridges that gap between like a slice of life where it's very character centered and sports where it's very sports centered, because it does definitely primarily focus on the sport.
Right.
But you spend so much time doing the character study along with it.
Yeah.
And just kind of seeing their life for this year of school. That's amazing.
It is. It is.
And it's just unheard of in so many ways. Like I've yet to see another series do it like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Haikyuu's really changed volleyball as a sport in the country of Japan, because volleyball was like a very dwindling sport for a long time. And then this manga starts coming out and all these kids are excited to play volleyball because they want to be like Karasuno.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And that's just the power of manga for you.
Yeah. I second that. I can't think of who he is. I know he's really like a famous one of the, I don't know if he's the ace or something of the Japan team, but it's been cool. I saw interviews with him about how he was saying how Haikyuu had impacted him to who he is today. And I'm like, it's just so cool to see. Like I said, like that's the power of manga. I mean, people are going to say, well, it's just fiction, but I mean, obviously it's more than that, not just for readers.
Fiction has so much power to empower people that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a whole discussion for another live show that we should invite people on to.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everyone who was able to pop in and out during the live stream.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry we weren't super talkative with the comments, so you guys probably didn't even get a chance to really respond to much of what we were saying, but we love you all. Thank you for being here. And for the read along, you should currently be reading volume 21. I did double check the math to make sure that was accurate.
Yeah.
You should have started volume 21 yesterday. So we're good on that. And yes, so I will see everybody in a few weeks. I may have another guest. I may do it by myself. I haven't decided yet. But in a few weeks, we will be discussing volumes 21 through 25. And I'll see you guys in the next one. In the meantime, Laura is linked down below. Make sure you go and follow her channel. She's amazing. And we'll see you guys next time.